Hi, here we are again in the old house, and I've got Grimm's fairy tales again, and I've got my mum again, just behind the camera. And today I'm going to read The Travelling Musicians. An honest farmer had once an ass that had been a faithful servant to him for a great many years, but was now growing old and every day more and more unfit for work. His master, therefore, was tired of keeping him and began to think of putting an end to him. But the ass, who saw that some mischief was in the wind, took himself slyly off and began his journey towards a great city, for there, thought he, I may turn musician. After he'd travelled a little way, he spied a dog lying by the roadside and panting as if he were very tired. "What makes you pant so, my friend?" said the ass. "Alas," said the dog, "my master was going to knock me on the head because I'm old and weak and can no longer make myself useful to him in hunting. So I ran away. But what can I do to earn my livelihood?" "Harkye," said the ass, "I'm going to the great city to turn musician. Suppose you go with me and try what you can do in the same way." They'd not gone far before they saw a cat sitting in the middle of the road and making a most rueful face. "Pray, my good lady," said the ass, "what's the matter with you? You look quite out of spirits." "Oh, me," said the cat. "How can one be in good spirits when one's life is in danger?" "Because I'm beginning to grow old, and I'd rather lie at my ease by the fire than run about the house after the mice. My mistress laid hold of me and was going to drown me, and though I've been lucky enough to get away from her, I don't know what I'm to live upon." "Oh," said the ass, "by all means go with us to the great city. You're a good night singer, and you may make your fortune as a musician." The cat was pleased with the thought and joined the party. Soon afterwards, as they were passing by a farmyard, they saw a cock perched upon a gate and screaming out with all his might and main. "Bravo," said the ass. "Upon my word, you make a famous noise. Pray, what is all this about?" "Why," said the cock, "I was just now saying that we should have fine weather for our washing day, and yet my mistress and cook don't thank me for my pains, but threaten to cut my head off tomorrow and make broth of me for the guests that are coming on Sunday." "Heaven forbid," said the ass. "Come with us, Master Chanticleer. It would be better at any rate than staying here to have your head cut off. Besides, who knows, if we take care to sing in tune, we may get up some kind of concert, so come along with us." "Oh, with all my heart," said the cock. So they all four went on jollily together. They couldn't, however, reach the great city the first day, so when night came on, they went into a wood to sleep. The ass and the dog laid themselves down under a great tree, and the cat climbed into the branches, while the cock, thinking that the higher he sat the safer he should be, flew up to the very top of the tree, and then, according to his custom, before he went to sleep, he looked out on all sides of him to see that everything was well. In doing this, he saw afar off something bright and shining, and calling to his companion, said, "There must be a house no great way off, for I see a light." "If that be the case," said the ass, "we'd better change our quarters, for our lodging is not the best in the world. Besides," added the dog, "I should not be the worse for a bone or two, or a bit of meat. So they walked off together towards the spot where Chanticleer had seen the light, and as they drew near it became larger and brighter, till at last they came close to a house in which a gang of robbers lived. The ass, being the tallest of the company, marched up to the window and peeped in. "Well, donkey," said Chanticleer, "what do you see?" "What do I see?" replied the ass. "Why, I see a table spread with all kinds of good things, and robbers sitting around it making merry." "That would be a noble lodging for us," said the cock. "Yes," said the ass, "if we could only get in." So they consulted together how they should contrive to get the robbers out, and at last they hit upon a plan. The ass placed himself upright on his hind legs, with his forefeet resting against the window. The dog got up on his back, the cat scrambled up to the dog's shoulders, and the cock flew up and sat upon the cat's head. When all was ready, a signal was given, and they began their music. The ass brayed, the dog barked, the cat mewed, and the cock screamed, and then they all broke through the window at once and came tumbling into the room amongst the broken glass with a most hideous clatter. The robbers, who had been not a little frightened by the opening concert, had now no doubt that some frightful hobgoblin had broken in upon them and scampered away as fast as they could. The coast was clear. Our travellers soon sat down and dispatched what the robbers had left, with as much eagerness as if they'd not expected to eat again for a month. As soon as they'd satisfied themselves, they put out the lights, and each once more sought a resting place to his own liking. The donkey laid himself out upon a heap of straw in the yard. The dog stretched himself upon a mat behind the door. The cat rolled herself up on the hearth before the warm ashes, and the cock perched on a beam on the top of the house. And as they were all rather tired with their journey, they soon fell asleep. But about midnight, when the robbers saw from afar that the lights were out, and it all seemed quiet, they began to think that they'd maybe been in too great a hurry to run away. And one of them, who was bolder than the rest, went to see what was going on. Finding everything still, he marched into the kitchen and groped about till he found a match in order to light a candle. And then, espying the glittering, fiery eyes of the cat, he mistook them for live coals and held the match to them to light it. But the cat, not understanding this joke, sprang at his face and spit and scratched at him. This frightened him dreadfully, and away he ran to the back door. But there the dog jumped up and bit him in the leg. And as he was crossing over the yard, the ass kicked him, and the cock, who'd been awakened by the noise, crowed with all his might. At this the robber ran back as fast as he could to his comrades, and told the captain how a horrid witch had gone into the house and had spat at him and scratched his face with her long bony fingers, how a man with a knife in his hand had hidden himself behind the door and stabbed him in the leg, how a black monster had stood in the yard and struck him with a club, and how the devil sat on top of the house and cried out, "Throw the rascal up here." After this, the robbers never dared go back to the house. But the musicians were so pleased with their quarters that they took up their abode there, and there they are, I dare say, to this very day. And I'm going to read you one more. Let's see. Oh. Now I'm going to read The Tom Tit and the Bear. One One summer day, as the wolf and the bear were walking together in a wood, they heard a bird singing most delightfully. "Brother," said the bear, "what can that bird be that's singing so sweetly?" "Ah," said the wolf, "that's His Majesty, the King of Birds. We must take care to show him all possible respect. Now, I should tell you that this bird was, after all, no other than the tomtit." "If that's the case," said the bear, "I'd like to see the royal palace, so pray come along and show it to me." "Gently, my friend," said the wolf. "We can't see it just yet. We must wait till the queen comes home." Soon afterwards the queen came with food in her beak, and she and the king began to feed their young ones. "Now for it," said the bear, and was about to follow them to see what could be seen. "Stop a little, Master Brawn," said the wolf. "We must wait till now their majesties are gone again." So they marked the hole where they'd seen the nest and went away. But the bear, being very eager to see the royal palace, soon came back again, and peeping into the nest saw 5 or 6 young birds lying at the bottom of it. "What nonsense," said Bruin. "This is not a royal palace. I never saw such a filthy place in my life, and you are no royal children, you little base-born brats." As soon as the young tomtits heard this, they were very angry and screamed out, "We're not base-born, you stupid bear. Our father and mother are honest, good sort of people, and depend upon it, you shall suffer for your insolence." At this the wolf and the bear grew frightened and ran away to their dens. But the young tomtits kept crying and screaming, and when their father and mother came home and offered them food, they all said, "We will not touch a bit. No, not a leg or a fly, though we shall all die of hunger till that rascal Brawn has been punished for calling us base-born brats." "Make yourselves easy, my darlings," said the old king. "You may be sure he'll meet with his deserts." So he went out and stood before the bear's den, and cried out with a loud voice, "Brawn the bear, thou hast shamefully insulted our lawful children. We therefore hereby declare bloody and cruel war against thee and thine, which shall never cease until thou hast been punished as thou so richly deservest." Now, when the bear heard this, he called together the ox, the ass, the stag, and all the beasts of the earth, in order to consult about the means of his defence. And the tomtit also enlisted on his side all the birds of the air, both great and small, and a very large army of hornets, gnats, bees, and flies, and other insects. As the time approached when the war was to begin, the tomtit sent out spies to see who was the commander-in-chief of the enemy's forces, and the gnat, who was by far the cleverest spy of them all, flew backwards and forwards in the woods where the enemy's troops were, and at last hid himself under a leaf on a tree, close by which the orders of the day were given out. And the bear, who was standing so near the tree that the gnat could hear all he said, called to the fox and said, "Reynard, you are the cleverest of all the beasts, therefore you shall be our general and lead us to battle. But first we must agree on some signal by which we may know what you want us to do." "Behold," said the fox, "I have a very fine, long, bushy tail, which is very like a plume of red feathers, and gives me a very warlike air. Now remember, when you see me raise up my tail, you may be sure that the battle is won, and you then have nothing to do but rush down upon the enemy with all your force. On the other hand, if I drop my tail, the day is lost, and you must run away as fast as you can." Now the gnat had heard all this. She flew back to the tomtit and told him everything that had passed. At length the day came when the battle was to be fought, and as soon as it was light, behold, the army of beasts came rushing forward with such a fearful sound that the earth shook, and His Majesty the Tomtit and his troops came flying along in warlike array, flapping and fluttering and beating the air, so that it was quite frightful to hear, and both armies set themselves in order of battle upon the field. Now the Tomtit gave the orders to a troop of hornets that at the first onset they should march straight towards Captain Reynard, and fixing themselves about his tail, should sting him with all their might and main. The hornets did as they were told, and when Reynard felt the first sting, he started aside and shook one of his legs, but still held up his tail with wonderful bravery. At the second sting, he was forced to drop his tail for a moment, but when the third hornet had fixed himself, he could bear it no longer, but clapped his tail between his legs and scampered away as fast as he could. As soon as the beasts saw this, they thought, of course, all was lost, and scoured across the country in the greatest dismay, leaving the birds masters of the field. And now the king and queen flew back in triumph to their children and said, "Now, children, eat, drink, and be merry, for the victory is ours." But the young birds said, "No, not till Brawn has humbly begged our pardon for calling us base-born." So the king flew back to the bear's den and cried out, "Thou villain bear, come forthwith to my abode and humbly beseech my children to forgive thee the insults thou hast offered them. For if thou wilt not do this, every bone in thy wretched body should be broken to pieces." So the bear was forced to crawl out of his den very sulkily and do what the king bade him. And after that the young birds sat down together and ate and drank and made merry till midnight. I do love the darkness of the Grimm's fairy tales.